Good morning, students. Today we have to start new unit which comprises two chapters, electromagnetic induction and alternating current. And we will start with the first chapter, electromagnetic induction. This topic is not new to us. We have already discussed about this in 10th standard in chapter magnetic effects of electric current, and where we have already discussed about the principle of AC generator and DC generators also. And this chapter actually contained all those topics in a more elaborated way. Let us start. To understand electromagnetic induction, we have to first understand about the magnetic flux and some related terms. And in this chapter we have almost 10 topics, and in which we will discuss about topic number 1 to 6 in detail, and remaining topics will be discussed in next lecture. The very first topic is magnetic flux, then Faraday's experiments and so on. I will not read out all these topics. We will discuss in point to point way. Then let us start magnetic flux. We have already discussed about electric flux. The concept of magnetic flux is analogous concept to that electric flux. In electric flux there are electric force of lines, and in magnetic flux we will discuss about the magnetic force of lines. That means first effect is due to electric field. This is about the effect of magnetic field. What is flux exactly? It is the magnetic flux through any surface is the number of magnetic lines of force passing normally through that surface. Normally means it is perpendicular to the surface. Remember, to the surface, not surface area vector. It can also be defined as the product of the area of the surface and the component of magnetic field normal to that surface. That means component of magnetic field is normal means parallel to the area vector but at right angle to the surface itself. Now we can explain it in more elaborated way, as ds is a small surface, then the area vector of ds is n cap. Definitely let the magnetic field is along horizontal direction and it is b vector, and angle between n cap and b is theta. Therefore the component of b towards n cap will be b cos theta. And by the above definition we have d phi equals to b dot ds, that is b ds vector into n cap, dot product of b and ds vectors. And finally we have d phi equals to b dot ds cos theta, and phi is b dot a n cap. Again phi is ba cos theta if area is a, not ds. If area is total area is a, then it is b dot a and b dot a dot n cap, that is ba cos theta, and in more general way it is b dot a only. Now the positive flux, as we can see, it depends upon the value of cos theta. Therefore it is positive when cos theta is positive. That means when angle ranges from 0 degree to 90 degree, the flux will be positive. As well, if the angle ranges between 270, from 270, more than 270 to less than or equal to 360 degrees, we have positive flux. There must be some negative flux also, and definitely when cos theta is negative, flux will be negative. And the zero flux is there if theta is 90 degree or 270 degree, then cos theta will be 0, therefore flux will also be 0. And hence the negative flux, there is a negative value of theta, negative value of cos theta between theta is, if it is between, theta is in between 90 and 270. And the maximum flux, definitely when cos theta has maximum value. As we know, cos theta's maximum value is +1, and it happens only when theta is 0 degree. And you can say if the area is held perpendicular to the magnetic field, area vector is parallel to the magnetic field. And in more general way, you can say if surface is perpendicular to the magnetic field, the magnetic flux is maximum. Now we will discuss about some units of magnetic flux. The magnetic flux is in more generalized way, it is B dot A cos theta, and the flux can be changed by changing B, by changing A, by changing theta, or by changing any combination of B, A and theta. We will discuss in the upcoming topics. The first one is the strength of the magnetic field B, definitely depends upon B, the area of the cross section of the coil, and the orientation of the coil with the magnetic field, that is theta, or any of the combination as I already told you. Now the magnetic flux, it is definitely a scalar quantity, and the SI unit, as I told about the units also, we have to discuss. That is Weber or Tesla meter square. As you know, B into A, cos theta has no unit, therefore B, the unit of magnetic field is Tesla, and unit of area vector is meter square, therefore Tesla meter square or Weber. Then CGS unit, the CGS unit is Maxwell, and there is a relation between Maxwell and Weber. 1 Maxwell equals to 10 raised to power minus 8 Weber. Now the magnetic flux, as you can see in formula at the top, BA cos theta. If cos theta has 1 unit value, that means at theta equals to 0, phi is B into A. Definitely B is phi by A. Therefore, the strength of magnetic field can also be explained or can be defined in terms of flux and area vector, as we can see in the last points of related to magnetic flux. What it says, magnetic flux per unit area is called magnetic flux density, or strength of magnetic field, or magnetic induction B. Now let us talk about the Faraday's experiment, and this is building block of the AC generator and other related terms. The experiment is very much clear. We have already discussed in 10th standard also. There are coils and magnets. There is first coil, and the magnet, north pole of the magnet is moved towards the left coil. You have to see what happens in the galvanometer. Okay, if magnet is moved, what happened? In left coil there is a deflection towards right side, and the near pole becomes north pole and the further pole becomes south pole. The near end of the coil becomes north pole and the further one becomes south pole. And you can see in lower part also, again, if south pole is moved, the deflection is in opposite direction. Or in more clear way, we can explain here. As we know, the magnetic field lines are there, and the field lines are dense at the ends. If this magnet is moved towards coil, it increases the number of magnetic field lines passing through the coil, and definitely if coil is nearer to the magnet, the strength of magnetic field is more, and if the strength is more, definitely there is more flux. That means when this magnet is moved towards the coil, there is increase in magnetic flux, and due to this increase in magnetic flux, the current is induced in the coil. Let us see. Okay, the deflection is towards right side, and the coil has two ends or two polarities. The nearer end becomes north pole and further end becomes south pole. Now this change happens only when there is a relative motion between coil and magnet. Otherwise there will be no current induced in the coil. Now the observations are there. The relative motion between the coil and the magnet is there. The induced polarities of magnetism in the coil. Definitely the coil have two magnets. The coil have two poles. One first, the nearer end becomes north pole and the further end becomes south pole. The third point, the direction of current through the galvanometer and hence the deflection in galvanometer. Definitely when north is moving towards the coil, there is deflection towards right side, and in other case the deflection is towards left side. That means there is reversal of direction of current in the coil. Now the induced EMF is available only, as I already told, as long as there is relative motion between the coil and the magnet. Now the coil can be moved by fixing the magnet. That means there is a term relative motion. It is not necessary to move only magnet towards the coil. We can fix the magnet and move coil towards or away from the magnet. In both cases, the magnetic flux changes, and whenever there is a change in magnetic flux, definitely current is induced in the coil. Now both the coil and magnet, yes, definitely coil and magnet both can be moved, and by that motion also flux can be changed. And the magnetic flux linked with the coil changes relative to the position of the coil and the magnet. That means it depends. Change of flux depends upon position between the position of coil and magnet. If they are very close, there is increase in flux, and that is there is a rapid increase. It changes rapidly. It depends upon position. And the current has therefore current, and hence the deflection is large if the relative velocity between the coil and the magnet, and hence the rate of change of flux across the coil is more. It says only that if we move magnet fast towards the coil, or move coil fast towards the magnet, there is large amount of current produced. The second experiment of Faraday. In this experiment we have two coils. One is named as primary coil, another one is named as secondary coil. This primary coil is connected with a battery along with a key, and we can close the circuit by pressing key, and can have current in the coil, and if we switch off, there is no current in the coil. The secondary coil is placed nearer to the primary coil, as like this, and when current is changed in the first coil, EMF is induced in the second coil. You can observe there is a deflection in the galvanometer. In this case also, there is production of current in the coil, and hence polarities in the secondary coil too. The explanation is as when the primary circuit is closed, current grows from 0 to maximum. Definitely if we switch on the current, it increases from 0 to its maximum value, and when current increases from 0 to maximum value, magnetic field in primary coil increases from 0 to its maximum, and if field is increasing, flux will also increase. That means there is a change in flux. This flux in change in primary coil is linked with secondary coil, and if flux changes in primary coil, the same changes can be observed in secondary coil also, and if flux changes in secondary coil, it induces current in the secondary coil. And definitely during this period changing, current induced during this period changing, that means when current is changing, current induces changing magnetic flux across the primary coil. As I already explained, this changing magnetic flux is linked across the secondary coil and induced EMF in the secondary coil. Induced EMF and hence the deflection in galvanometer lasts only as long as the current in the primary coil, and hence the magnetic flux in the secondary coil changes. That means the change is only when there is some change in first current. When current in primary coil remains constant, there is no any flux change in secondary coil as well as in primary coil. Therefore, no current is induced in the secondary coil. Now, when the primary coil is open circuit, that means switch is off. In that case, current changes from its maximum value to 0. Again, if it is decreasing flux, there is a change in flux. Therefore, there must be flux changes and hence current induced in the secondary coil in this situation also. During this period, changing current induces changing magnetic flux across the primary coil. The explanations are very much similar to the first one. This changing magnetic flux is linked across the secondary coil and hence current in the secondary coil. And definitely the direction of current will be reversed. The direction of current in the secondary coil is reversed and hence the deflection in the galvanometer is opposite to the previous case. Now, based on these two experiments, Faraday's gave two laws, and they are known as Faraday's laws of electromagnetic induction. And the first one is all about the concept of electromagnetic induction. We have already discussed, and it is like this. First law: whenever there is a change in the magnetic flux linked with a circuit or a coil, an EMF and hence a current is induced in the circuit or coil. However, it lasts only so long as the magnetic flux is changing. That means if it only happens whenever there is a change in magnetic flux, otherwise there is no current induction in the secondary coil or in the circuit. This first law is all about the concept of electromagnetic induction. The second law is about the quantitative relation for electromagnetic EMF or for EMF induced. The magnitude of the induced EMF is directly proportional to the rate of change of magnetic flux linked with the circuit. And rate of change of magnetic flux means delta phi by delta t in average form, and if delta t tends to 0, E is directly proportional to d phi by dt, and E equals to k. K is a constant, d phi by dt. In SI units, the value of k is 1, therefore E is d phi by dt. D phi is a change in flux, and if flux changes from phi 1 to phi 2 in time t, this EMF can be given as E equal to phi 2 minus phi 1 divided by t. And Lenz's law, this law is was given by Lenz, and it says some relationship between EMF induced and the cause which produces the EMF. And it says the direction of the induced EMF or induced current is such that it opposes the change that is producing it. That means it opposes the change that is producing it. Remember first experiment in which the magnet is moved towards the coil. If we are moving magnet towards the coil along as per this Lenz law, definitely the direction of current in the coil is such that it opposes the movement of magnet. And you can remember when we are moving north pole of magnet towards the coil, the nearer end becomes north pole and the farther end becomes south pole. That means nearer pole, if nearer pole becomes north pole, it opposes the motion of magnet towards the coil, and definitely it opposes the cause which produces it. If the current is induced due to motion of the magnet, then induced current in the coil sets itself to stop, that means to oppose the motion of the magnet. And if it happens due to change in current in the primary coil, the direction of current or induced current is such that it stops the change, or that means if current is increasing, it has a tendency to decrease the current. If current is decreasing, it has a tendency to increase the current. In any way, it opposes the cause which produces it. Lenz's law is very much in accordance with the law of conservation of energy also. In first experiment, you can see we are moving magnet towards the coil. That means we are doing some mechanical work, and if we are doing some mechanical work, that work must be converted into some other form. And really it happens in this case. The mechanical work done by the agent is converted into electric energy. In ideal cases, you have to remember, in ideal cases, if we consider there is no any loss of energy, then the mechanical work done is converted into electric energy, which is a cause of induced EMF or induced current. Now the Lenz's law and conservation of energy, the explanation will be similar one. What it says, the induced EMF opposes the change that produces it. It is this opposition against which we perform mechanical work in causing the change in magnetic flux. Therefore, definitely mechanical energy is converted into electric energy. And now expression of induced EMF. The quantitative relation is very much similar. For including Lenz's law, we can have E equals to minus d phi by dt. Earlier it was d phi by dt, but when we include Lenz's law, there is a negative sign, which shows that EMF induced is opposite to the it opposes the cause which produces it. And definitely E is minus phi 2 minus phi 1 by t. And if n is the number of turns in the coil, then the total EMF will be E minus E equal to minus d phi by dt into n. And the same expression can be there. It can be minus n d phi by dt or minus n phi 2 minus phi 1 by t. For induced current, as we all know, I equals to V upon R. At place of V, V is what? Electric potential difference, and in here the electric potential difference is nothing but induced EMF. Therefore E by R is there. Then we have to divide the above expression by R, and it is like I equal to minus d phi divided by R into dt. For charge, as you know, I is dq by dt, therefore dq equals to I into dt. dq by dt is this much, then dq equals to minus d phi by R. And the note is all about the relationship of I and dq to R. Definitely E doesn't depend upon R, but I and dq both depends upon R. R is resistance of the coil. And as we know, the methods, there are three methods we have already I have already mentioned, and these methods are by changing magnetic field. Definitely when field is increased, magnetic flux will be increased. By changing the area of the coil, as we know, area increases. BA, phi is BA cos theta or B dot A. Therefore whenever there is a change in area, there must be change in a magnetic flux. And here we have we can have a very important relation for motional EMF, that is EMF induced in the coil due to motion of coil inside a magnetic field. Suppose there is a magnetic field, crossed field, that means magnetic field lines are normally inverse to the plane, and definitely the coil is PQRS. If we move towards coil inside the magnetic field, the area increases, and whenever there is a change in area, definitely there is change in flux, and definitely now the area is increased. Therefore let the L is length of side PQ, it is PS, and S dash S is VDT. VDT is distance through which coil moved inside the magnet. And if we talk about the change in area, it will be L into V dot VDT. L into VDT, where V is velocity of coil by which it is moving inside the magnetic field. And definitely flux will be B dot dA, B into L into VDT. L into VDT is, L is length and VDT is width moved inside the coil. Therefore it is area. LVDT is area only. And E is minus d phi by dt. Dividing above by dt, we have E equals to minus BLV. This minus BLV is motional EMF, where B is magnetic field, L is side of the coil, and V is velocity with which it is moving. And we can have induced EMF. This EMF is called motional EMF. and if this coil is moved away from the magnetic field, out of the magnetic field, definitely E will be BLV. Minus and minus becomes plus. And how can we find the direction of induced current? We can find it by Fleming's right hand rule. We will discuss in later. Now, the induced current is opposes the cause by changing the magnetic field. You can go through. The cause of the changing magnetic flux is due to the motion of the loop and increases in area of the coil in the uniform magnetic field. By applying Fleming's left hand rule, we have some force and we have to work against this force. The work done against this force is cause of production of EMF. Fleming's left hand rule, Fleming's right hand rule, which is used to find direction of induced current. Again, stress thumb, first finger and middle finger. The first finger, index finger, indicating towards magnetic field, thumb towards force or motion of conductor, then middle finger will show the direction of electric current. You can have this statement also, the easier one. Now by changing the orientation, the third point, how can we change magnetic flux? By changing the orientation. Suppose there is a magnetic field parallel to the plane of this screen, then area is held perpendicular. If we rotate this area, there is change in orientation, and that orientation change, if there is a change in orientation, therefore effective area through which magnetic field lines crosses increases, and hence there is a change in magnetic flux. And this is basic principle of electric generator as studied in class 10th also. Phi is let the number of turns in the coil are n, therefore BA cos theta into n, therefore phi equals to NBA cos theta at time t. When we differentiate it, and theta is no doubt omega into t. Omega is angular velocity with which the coil is being rotating. Phi equals to NBA cos omega t. Differentiating, after differentiating, we will have d phi by dt. Cos omega t is differentiated as sin omega t into omega, and E equals to E naught sin omega t. That is the basic principle of alternate generator. It produces alternating EMF which changes its direction after a certain interval of time, and it have values ranging from 0 to maximum. The graphical representation can be shown in this. When initially the flux is 0, it is like a sine wave, and if coil is at area vector of coil is at right angles, we have maximum flux, and the function becomes as cosine function, and you can understand it by this graph only. At if it is varying as E equals to E naught cos omega t, the second graph, and if it is E naught sin omega t, the first one is there. And this method of inducing EMF is definitely the basic principle of generator. Okay, we will discuss up to this topic only. In second lecture, we will discuss about AD currents and other related terms.